These are my top 10 eBay selling tips and tricks for beginners for 2021. Make mad cash on eBay. Do that by subscribing and coming back often, because the more you watch, the more you're gonna make, because I'm gonna teach you treasures galore that are gonna make you more on eBay. If you're a beginner seller, or maybe you're thinking about selling on eBay, you might be a little overwhelmed and intimidated, not knowing where to start, what to do, and these tips and tricks are gonna help you get early success in your eBay selling career. Tip number 1, sell what you know. I'm gonna tell you a little story about my husband and the soccer cleats that he bought, wanting me to sell them on eBay. Well, I mean, he loves soccer and he knows all about soccer. I do not. And so one day he went to Ross and he bought all these soccer cleats, and then he brought them home and he was like, hey, here's all these that you can list that are worth money. And of course I was like, okay, cool. But then when I got into it, I realized there was a whole lot more to these cleats than meets the eye. Like, did you know that there's it's like ACC, your ACL, or ALs, I don't know. There's all these initials that mean a certain thing when it comes to cleats, and I didn't know. And I had to actually Google all the information. It took me forever, and I got frustrated, and it wasn't something I was totally interested in. So I also got bored and burnt out. I ended up only listing maybe half of the cleats, and then I just gave up. I'll be honest with you, that was years ago, and I think I still have those cleats in my basement, which I really probably should get on eBay. And who knows, maybe they're worth more now. I don't know, but the point is, if you don't stick with something you know about or that you're passionate about, you're gonna get burnt out, and it's gonna take a lot longer to list because you'll have to do your research. Tip number 2, consider picking a niche. And again, you'll want to pick something you know something about and that you're passionate about. And the reason why is because, well, obviously you want to do this because you want it to be fun. You want it to be something you're passionate about. So it's going to keep you from burning out, just like tip number 1. But also it's because it will help you in knowing about the fees and the typical shipping fees, the typical listing fees, and it will also help you answer your customers' questions when they have questions, because they will have questions that you'll need to answer. Also, it will give you repeat customers. Let's say you're selling fabric and that is your niche. Well, when somebody buys fabric for this quilt, they're gonna come back to you next time if they have good customer experience. They're gonna come back to you next time to buy more fabric for the next quilt. So it kind of takes some of the marketing out for you, it helps out with the marketing. It gives you repeat customers, and that's always a good thing. Sell light or smaller items. The reason for this being is that they're going to be easy to package, easy to ship. They're not going to get damaged as often in transit, and also it's going to be cheaper for shipping fees. So if you stick to something that's under 13 ounces, you can ship it first class, and that's the cheapest shipping of all. But there's also flat rate shipping boxes. So if you pick something that's going to fit into a flat rate box, even better. You can also go with media mail, because media mail is super cheap as well. So you might want to think about smaller, lighter items or things that are going to fit into certain size boxes, because it's going to be easier to package and cheaper to ship. Tip number 4, do your proper research. Guys, I can't even tell you how many times I see eBay sellers, and some of them have been doing it for a while. They will look up items on active listings and go, oh, that's what it's worth. It's a huge mistake, and I'm going to tell you why. You want to look at completed listings because you want to see what has sold and what has not sold. Anybody can ask any price for anything, and it doesn't mean it's going to sell. So you want to look at completed listings, not sold listings. And the reason why you want to select completed and not sold is because if you select sold, you're only going to see the sold listings. There's nothing wrong with that in some ways, but in other ways, you want to see the bigger picture. You want to see the items that did not sell, because there might have been 100 listings and only 2 of them sold. If you select sold, you're only going to see the 2 and you're not going to see the big picture. You might want to skip on an item if it's not super popular and there's 100 listings that did not sell. Now, click on completed listings by going to your filter in your app and selecting completed listings, or you can go to the left-hand side of your computer screen and click on completed listings from there. By the way, eBay is one of the only online marketplaces that I know of that gives you this data. I think it's phenomenal. It's amazing that they offer this information at your fingertips so that you can be successful, so that you can see what you should charge for shipping, what you should charge for the price, and what to expect. I just think it's amazing, and I'm so grateful to eBay for offering us that information. So use it. Use it. It's there for you, and it's amazing that they do so. So I am so grateful. Thank you, eBay, for that, because I think it is one of the biggest reasons that I have been successful on eBay. Tip number 5, take amazing photos. You know, when someone's buying something online, obviously they're not holding it in their hand. They can't look to see what the condition is, you know, what it's like. And so you want to take as many photos as possible to make it as close to being in your buyer's hands as possible. So take a picture from every angle. Make sure they're not blurry. Make sure they're clear. Now, the way to do this is to make sure that you're taking a picture in front of an open window. Or not an open window, a window. You just need indirect sunlight. It's the best lighting of all. You don't need super professional, expensive lighting. You just need your cell phone and a window. And you could use a white backdrop, but if you don't have a white backdrop, no problem, because remove.bg, photofuse.com, and even Canva, if you have like the professional Canva account, which I do and I love it, it has a remove background tool. So you just remove the background, add a white background, and bam, you've got a stock photo that looks just like something on a professional website or Amazon or something like that. It's amazing. So you don't even have to have a white background, but I do suggest that you make a white background because it's going to help in the algorithm and it's going to help your buyers see the item clearly without the distraction of the things in the background. By the way, take as many photos as possible. eBay allows you to do 12 photos and it is considered rich content. Rich content is what search engines look for. They love rich content. So your photos, use as many as you possibly can to get better search results in the search engine. You know, in the real estate industry, there's a saying called location, location, location. Well, that is true when it's your title. Think of your title as your real estate, and the keywords need to have the best location, location, location. And that is at the very front of your title. You want the most relevant keywords to be at the beginning of the title, not the end. How are you going to know what's important and what's the most relevant keywords? Well, you're going to start by typing it into the search bar. Now, a list is going to pop up of suggested search terms. It's just like Google. When you start typing something in, it suggests a bunch of keywords. When you see that list, this is telling you what buyers are typing in exactly what order, what keywords they're looking for. You'll want to pick the most relevant ones and use those at the beginning of your title. Now, you'll want to use every available character. They only give you so many, but you'll want to fill it out as much as possible. So think of different ways that you could fill it in that's going to be relevant, of course. And while you're at it, use abbreviations. You don't need to spell out the word with or and. Use a slash or just a W. Find ways to use abbreviations. Some of the most common abbreviations that you're going to see are things like EUC, which means excellent use condition, MIB, which is mint in box, or NIB, which is new in box, new with tags is NWT, and it goes on and on. So research some of the most common abbreviations that you can use in your titles, and it's going to make the most of all the characters that you can use in your title. Speaking of keywords, let's talk about description. Description is your opportunity to use the keywords that you didn't get to use in your title. The reason this is important is because it's going to help you in the search engine. I always talk about the algorithm, but it is super important. You want to pull up on the first page, not the 100th page. So the more you can do to add to your search engine optimization, the better. So in your description, make sure you're using keywords in there that you didn't get to use in your title that you saw pop down on the search bar or the suggested search terms. Now, it's super important that when you do your description, you don't just type out long paragraphs. It really does not draw the buyer's eye. There has been research that has shown that people are more apt to read all the way through if something is in bullet points and lists. Like, on blogs where they have listicles, people like that better than reading a full-on article in general. The reason is because we're lazy. Everyone is lazy. And I once read this book called Don't Make Me Think. And the principle stands true here. Don't make your buyers think. Make it easy for them to say yes to buy your item. Do that by making bullet points and sections so it's clear and easy for them to see the features of your item. This is going to make the listing process so much easier, so much faster and efficient, and you're totally going to thank me for this tip. Make a template for your listing description. Go ahead and make a template for each category that you're selling in too. So if you're selling shoes, make one for shoes. If you're selling toys, make one for toys. If you're selling collectibles, make one for collectibles. That way, all you have to do is go select the appropriate template, enter it into your description, and just fill in the blank. It's so much easier and faster. Now, save your templates in maybe a drive or a file on your computer that you can just pop up and copy and paste as you go. Or if you have an eBay store or a pro account, you can just make the templates right there in eBay. All you have to do is select it on the drop-down menu, select which template, and it automatically adds it to your description, and you fill in the blank, and it's so fast and easy. I love it. And guess what? I have a template that I'm sharing with you. Go ahead and click the link below in the description and go to my template, copy and paste it into a file of your own, and you can feel free to change it up however you want to, but this is just me showing you how you can do your template and me sharing the wealth, if you will, because I'm a sharer like that. Tip number 9, think outside of the box when it comes to things that you can sell on eBay. So another story to share with you is the time that I used to get Toys R Us store returns and overrun. I used to get by the truckload, okay? Well, we used to sell these RC cars that Toys R Us sold. And it was becoming quite a thing where people would get the trucks or the cars, they would run them to the ground, and then they would say, oh, they're broken, and they would send them back. One time in particular, somebody literally sent it back covered in mud and said it arrived broken. And I'm like, dude, it's totally obvious you ran it through the mud and broke this car. Well, I got tired of having to refund the item when they clearly broke it. And I was getting frustrated. And it was my husband's genius. Honestly, I can't even take the credit for this, but it was my husband's genius. And he was like, I wonder what the batteries and chargers sell for. After we did our research and realized what the batteries and chargers were going for, we totally parted the cars out. We sold the chargers separately. We sold the batteries separately. We sold the remotes separately, even the tires and chassis. People like to customize their cars, and they might need a replacement battery and charger. And New Bright did not sell the replacements. So it was a market perfect for us. So we sold the batteries, we sold the chargers, and we made way more on just the parts than we ever did selling the car as a whole. And part of that was because they were smaller to ship as well. So think outside of the box, do some research, maybe find some items that might seem out of the ordinary but could make you some big bucks on eBay. Last but not least, but I feel like this is the most important tip of all. Don't waste your time on small profit items. I taught this girl one time how to sell on eBay, and one time she got overwhelmed with her inventory, and so I decided to come over and help her decide what she should get rid of. I found this item and it was only going to profit her $5. And I said, oh, we should get rid of this. And her response was, well, $5 is $5. And I'm like, yeah, but you have a $50 item right here. Why waste your time on the $5 item when you could be listing the $50 item? It's going to take the exact same amount of time to list. And I've seen it time and time again, especially with newbies, that you waste your time on smaller items. Now, I'm going to go ahead and say that when you get started, go ahead and start with small items because it seems like a less of a risk. Like if something arrives broken and you have to refund the buyer's money, refunding $5 or $10 is a lot less stressful and a lot less intimidating than having to refund something that's $100. So when you're first starting and there's a learning curve, go ahead and list the smaller profit items. There's nothing wrong with that. But if you want to be successful with your eBay business, eventually you need to know what your time is worth and not list items that are not worth your time. Now, how are you going to figure out what your time is worth? I'm glad you asked, because I made a video on how to determine what your time is worth and when you should pass on an item, when you should buy an item to sell on eBay, and it's phenomenal. I really think that this system is going to benefit your business like tremendously. So go ahead and watch that video. If you've already watched that video, no problem. Just click on another video or subscribe if you haven't done so already, and then I will catch you on the next one. Bye guys, happy eBaying. See you next time.